So this is the color track that we're going to go into now. So the first class that we have to talk about is acrylic painting. Now, acrylic painting is a really versatile medium that's really good for art production for students in general. Um, it's pretty much just, I mean, it has a high viscosity, very similar to oil paint, but dries very quickly. So different strategies have to be applied to use it. So you do have to understand kind of what those strategies are. Being able to paint with acrylic does lead into painting with oil and vice versa, but you have to change just speed and mixing and all types of things. And this class will cover that. We have examples of reference photos for the different classes of acrylic paintings offered. And you can even see some of the paintings here from students in the class. So acrylic is a really good paint for people that really want to get into paint at a fast pace. Um, and because it dries fast and it's very accessible, it's easy to use at home. Okay, so we have a couple of paints like that. Illustration with markers. So illustration with markers is they're usually very fast and speed based and textural and very saturated and bright. Very good kind of structural skills. We're dealing with still lifes, and the strategies with markers is very different than a lot of the other things you'll face. They're pretty fast. You need to blend them pretty quick, otherwise they can look really streaky. There's a lot of little technical things that you'll learn in this class, just how to wrap your head around to use markers in general. And it'll be based off photo references and clear food textures. And these are examples of student work that we have over here. It's making me hungry. So kind of go from there, but great class. So oil painting famous landmarks. So this is an oil painting class for students that have a little bit of experience with oil painting already. You have to have been through the beginner intermediate, probably be taking one of our once a week classes, but would be really beneficial for you. But you definitely have to get through the beginner intermediate before you'd want to go into this. But it's landscape painting, and they're going to be approaching different oil painting techniques based off from photo instead of like the plein air stuff from the drawing and sketch. So different skill set again of how to function from a photo, but keep that kind of energy of a landscape. We have the examples of the reference photos from those two. We have two very beautiful photos that they'll be painting in class under the guidance of great painting instructors that we have. So oil painting flowers and birds. So this is a good kind of first step. If you've taken that beginner intermediate class over the summer and you want to take another oil painting class, this is one of the better ones to take. So if you want to get even further ahead for that once a week oil painting class that you'd like to take, this is the best option next to it. You've got different student-based work here in the center, and over in the left, we have the reference photos that they'll be doing for the class. So it's a really good time to learn how to paint with textures, different colors, different color mixing, and kind of really push your oil painting game to that next step to go into even more advanced things. Oil painting landscape. So oil painting landscape it's pretty much what it sounds like, but it is an advanced thing dealing with textures, dealing with paint application, how to simplify something to make it look like a tree without feeling like you have to paint every single leaf on the tree. So brush handling techniques, color mixing techniques, value techniques to create depth. This is a class that is a little bit more advanced and is definitely worth it for anybody who's already taking our oil painting classes, or once again, if you've taken the beginner intermediate class and want to challenge yourself with something else, this is a good one to step into. And we have the reference photos that'll be used for that class over this course. Oil painting pets and animals. So all of these things, all these classes that I've been going over, by the way, with the oil painting pets and animals, the flowers, the landscape, these are the types of classes that you can actually be producing works for competitions in the future, just so you're aware. Like I talked about earlier, you can generate one of these types of paintings within 1 week, where normally in the once a week type of class, that can take an extended period of time. So if you have that oil painting beginner intermediate and you want to generate some pieces for scholastic art and writing, this is a good opportunity to do that. So this pets and animals, the flowers and birds, the landscape painting, these are all really good ones to go with. We've got a corgi on a surfboard and some elephants for the classes going into this year. So something to keep in mind if you want to be prepared for scholastic art and writing, this is another one, oil painting portraits. So this is a more advanced class, just like the landscape painting class. So, but once again, it's like you will be producing two paintings throughout a course of 1 week. These paintings can be used for competitions. They can be used for supplemental portfolios. They're a good, strong addition to all types of things that you're going forward, and they'll also just challenge you and make you stronger at painting in general. So the oil painting beginner and intermediate. And these are our photo references for the portrait class this year. So you can see examples of the beginner intermediate where they start with black and white and move into a limited color palette. They focus primarily on still life because it's one of the best places to learn is from life and working at a high rate of speed. They are going to produce about 3 paintings through the course. We have three. We have a black and white, a simple still life, and a slightly more complicated still life. So different challenges are presented, and through this class, they learn best practices for just maintaining their equipment, how to clean it, how to take care of it, but also how strategies for mixing color, how to identify values better, how to apply paint. So there's a lot of different things that go through this class that gives you that kind of jump in to take our once a week oil painting class or our more advanced painting classes that we offer only during summer. So we have a second book here for the color series as well. So we'll get into this one. So gouache painting. Gouache painting is the paint that illustrators and graphic designers use pre-digital. It's very saturated. It has a lot of pigment in it. So it can be very hard to control, but it's also really accessible. It's water and paint. Once you kind of wrap your head around how to use it, you can be pretty dangerous with it pretty fast. It dries really fast, a lot like acrylic. You're going to have a lot of mark making, so you have to learn how to brush control and brush handling and things like that. But this is a paint that, like, if you've already been taking some of our oil painting classes or if you're taking acrylic classes, this is a really good paint to add to your toolkit. It's really good for painting plein air. It's really good for illustration. It has a lot of different applications and it's super versatile. But I do recommend taking a class in it, not jumping in, because the color control of it can be pretty difficult. Um, so we have examples like Jason showed earlier of the still lifes of it. So you come up with really lovely, good saturation, good colors. And these are the reference photos that we will be tackling this summer with gouache. Watercolor, cityscape, and landscape. So we also do have a watercolor beginner intermediate, much like we have the oil painting beginner intermediate. And it's recommended you take that one before you take the cityscape and landscape. They will be producing, I believe, 2 paintings through there. We have examples of student work. Once again, competition-based things. Keep that in mind with this kind of stuff. Um, and supplemental portfolio. So if you're an older student, you're trying to look at how to develop a supplemental portfolio, any of these topic-based painting classes are going to be perfect for you. So they get you moving forward and they get you produce some pieces that can be used for those portfolios early. We have watercolor pets and animals. So each hen will be teaching this class. These are her paintings, which are awesome. But it also gives you a really clear idea of the kind of stylistic approach that we're going to be using, a very soft, very airy, very expressionistic paintings. But it's taking the watercolor and how to just kind of create these textures and create this kind of atmosphere. Another really good class for competitions and stuff, but also going to challenge you from a technical place using the watercolor and how to create some of these different edge controls and textural elements at the same time. Watercolor for beginner and intermediate. Much like the oil painting one, this is the intro prerequisite class to take the other watercolor classes. If you've never touched watercolor before, I highly recommend you do this. Watercolor seems like a really accessible paint, but it's a very hard paint to kind of master and takes a lot of practice. And so this will give you a really good kind of introduction into dealing with that, like the different glazing and washing techniques, different brush handling, maintaining color control. So